Okay, good morning, sub-tours. We are here for Goat Talk. Our guest this morning is Kevin. Kevin is with, give me the name of your company, Kevin.
Strong Jacobs and Associates.
Strong Jacob and Associates. We want to make sure we got that right. Kevin is a loss mitigation expert, loan modification expert, and he does a whole bunch of stuff. Actually, he has a lot of services that work very well with what we do as real estate investors. But I'm not going to tell you guys what he does. Let's let him tell you what he does. So Kevin, welcome to Go Talk. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you. This is a great honor to talk to you and talk to the group. But to get on to the business, I started the company, back in 2005 after I lost my home due to foreclosure because I didn't understand loss mitigation or reaching out to my lender to figure out a way to stay in my home. That was kind of like the emphasis, if you will, to help me start or got me interested in getting into loan modifications, credit repair, debt negotiations, debt settlement, which is some of the services that we offer. So that's basically my background. Went to Cleveland State University, ironically got a four-year degree in management and labor relations. Spent a little time doing an internship at a law firm back in 1993. And that law firm was called Dubin, Kahn, and Bernard. And back then, ironically, William, it was one of the top 10 labor relation law firms in the country. So the reason why I bring that up, because I draw from that experience, because it taught me how to negotiate with the big boys, because they were doing corporate union type negotiations with city entities and things like that. So that's how I really got started in the business and been going strong for about, no pun intended there, for about 15 years.
Good one. Hey guys, hey Tammy, Farouk, Corey, good to see you. Phil, Lisa, good to see you guys this morning. So listen, let's get into it. Okay. So tell us, what is loan modification? How does that work?
Typically, a loan modification is when a seller is probably distressed and is experiencing some type of financial difficulty. So he or she or they are unable to make their mortgage payment. So they reach out to the lender or servicer. A lot of times it'll be the servicer. Servicer is the person who you send your payment to. And you have to basically rework or come up with a new mortgage agreement. So hypothetically, let's say you start off, William, with your payment being $1,000, and maybe based on your financial situation or temporary or permanent hardship, you need to get that payment down, let's say $750 or $800. So you have to reach out to the lender and work through that. That does require a lot more paperwork. They're going to want to look at your financials, your W-2, your tax returns. It's just as involved as if you're applying for a full-blown mortgage again.
Okay, so it really just kind of restructures the whole thing. I mean, over the course of the loan, is that how it works, or is it a temporary sort of thing?
That's a great point, because you can have a couple of different combinations. It can be temporary or it can be permanent. You can have them reduce your interest rate. In rare cases, they do what's called principal forbearance, which is definitely not happening in this environment because so many people are equity rich. Mm-hmm. And the most famous one they've been talking about is just extending the terms out to 480 months, which is a 40-year amortization. Obviously.
Right. And that's something that the government really is trying to push on the lenders, isn't it, to just go ahead and do this thing?
Absolutely. And I think you guys see me posted, I think I posted about 2 months ago or a little less than that, about the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, how they've inserted themselves in the lending environment, telling these lenders that you must get your house in order and help these people stay in their homes. So unlike 2008, that wasn't the case. So what I'm seeing based on my research is that there's a lot of lenders and services that are hiring up or shoring up their loan modification, the loan, what's the word I'm looking for? Mitigation, the mitigation departments. They're shoring up those mitigation departments in anticipation of all of these distressed sellers reaching out to them to try to get a new deal.
Right. Okay. And so now Kevin and I have talked a lot about this over the last few months. Kevin is a sponsor of our podcast, and we certainly appreciate him for doing that for us. So we've gotten to talk a lot about loan modification and that sort of thing. Hey, Corey, good to see you in here. So I understand you guys that are coaching students and even people in this group just generally know we talk a lot about first approaching a homeowner in distress with a heart to help, trying to make some calls. A lot of times they stick their head in the sand. They don't want to talk to the lender. But I recognized immediately, not knowing anything really about loan modifications and that sort of thing, that this is an awesome tool to have in your tool belt to assist these people, especially people that want to stay in their homes, which a lot of foreclosure people, that's what they want. They want to keep their house. Not all of them, but a significant number. So Kevin, tell me, in your opinion, how this works as an additional tool investors can use when they're dealing with homeowners in distress.
Okay, well, first of all, we all know how competitive the market is right now in terms of trying to find deals, especially if you're trying to find deals, quote unquote, off market, right? So as you say, a heart to help mentality. So if you use loan modification as a way to, and this obviously may not work out in terms of you getting a deal, but if you approach it from a full perspective of, hey, I'm here to help. What are you looking for? How can we help you as a family get in a better situation? So the way the loan modification will come into play is that if you can assist these folks in lowering their payment, potentially, right, that's not going to get you the house, but more importantly, the psychology behind you initially contacting a homeowner is this. They may be in denial about they have to get out of the house, right? But if you approach it like 99% of most investors, you're just going to get pushed aside. If you approach it from William's perspective with a heart to help, they will continue to talk to you a little bit more because now you're serving their needs, not your own needs. So what will happen is that initially they'll start to talk to you. They may go down that road of loan modification to no avail. And then they're going to remember William was the nice guy who kind of coached me or consulted me along the way to really help me and my family remain in this house. Now I get the reality from Bank of America that I can no longer stay in this house. I have to do something with it from a disposition standpoint. So let me reach back out to William and contact him.
Right.
So as you mentioned earlier, the CRM and the follow-up is huge if you're going to use this as a tool.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's just like Kevin said, people that have this mentality, they want to stay if they're even willing to go through the entire process. And there's a lot of paperwork and questions and probing that the bank does. Exactly, Rainey, you're building that relationship. And then when the reality hits and they're getting 1,000 other investor postcards, they're going to remember Kevin or Sarah or Matt or whoever that was that tried their best to help. And they're going to, I want to work with that girl or that guy because they tried to help me. They're not these other people beating on the door saying, I want to buy your house. I've got all cash and all that stuff like we do. So,
yeah. So another good point about the course, and this is more so on the retail side, but it's still a value added proposition I like to talk about is that when I developed this course, it took me a long time because what I was seeing out there, and you first of all, you're going to see a lot of people probably the latter part of this year, and especially in 2021, come out and proclaim themselves to be loan modification experts. You're going to see lawyers and law firms that have been doing personal injury or criminal defense type law for 15 years, all of a sudden put loan modification as a service that they offer to try to catch what's in season. Mm-hmm. So what makes my course, I think, highly competitive and unique is because inside this course, I talk about things that, in my humble opinion, without sounding narcissistic, no one on the internet is talking about in terms of when you are in a situation when you can no longer pay your mortgage, okay, and you get a loan modification. I'm here to tell you guys, and you can do your own research, probably over 80% or probably close to 90% default on the new lower payment within 90 days. Right. So what I decided to do was say, what's the problem behind that? And what the problem is, from my perspective, is that if you can't make your mortgage payment, what else is going on? You probably don't have a budget. We address a budget situation inside the course. There's also a 60-minute do-it-yourself, step-by-step credit repair crash course to teach people how to repair their credit. Just some basic tools. And there is some debt management and debt settlement tools and strategies inside the course, because if you had a $4,000 a month monthly income and now it got cut down to $3,000 because of COVID or some other situation, but you can reach out maybe to other lenders and other creditors and rework or lower those monthly payments, that puts the person in a much better position to qualify for a loan modification, because the lender's looking at how much disposable income do you have.
Right. Right. I know. Hey, Mark, good to see you. Matt, Sarah, good to see you. How are things in Memphis? Memphis is a great place. I lived there for a little while.
Oh, yeah, I was there for 5 years.
Yeah, Memphis, Cordova and Bartlett, actually, the two places I lived on the outside of Memphis. So,
Germantown, not too far away.
Great place. Good ribs. Go to the Rendezvous. The Rendezvous, where the waiters are rude. That's kind of their thing, you know. Are you done? Get out. We need the table. So
did you ever go to Memphis Barbecue in South Haven, Mississippi?
I don't think I did.
Oh, that's to me, that was the best.
But I'm going to tell you, I didn't get around that much. I was in the restaurant business at the time and worked about 70 hours a week. I tell you, I lived in Memphis for 2 years and didn't go to see Graceland until I moved to Georgia, and then drove to Memphis to go to Graceland. So, you know, I didn't get around that much. Well, Mark's in Birmingham today. So yeah, that's great. I know that's another service that you offer, Kevin, just for you guys that know, if you follow my model, then you already know that one of the things that we teach for our buyers, when we enroll our buyers, and when they, you know, step up and they give us a down payment, they get their house, one of the conditions is they have to go through credit repair, because we want to make sure they cash us out in 24 to 36 months. And Kevin, I know that you do credit repair, so, and you can do that all across the country, as I understand. So you could do that service for buyers.
With the exception of, I think Georgia, they have got some really, really strict laws in Georgia. I think basically, unless the laws have changed, you have to be a nonprofit entity if you're servicing consumers in the area of credit repair. So with that, what we do here is a little bit different. And I know a lot of people say, you know, credit repair gets a bad mark. It's hard to find a good quality credit restoration program. So let me give a shameless plug about that particular service as it applies to my company. Right. What I do is that if it's from an investor, and let's say somebody has just bought the house, but they need credit restoration. So I get the investor on an affiliate link. I hook them up with a mortgage person. So I want the investor to have a conversation with me and pick a mortgage person, so we can sit down and look at the the credit profile, and determine what needs to be done in order for the investor to get cashed out on the back end. Mm-hmm. So I also include the mortgage loan officer in the affiliate link. So as we're starting the restoration process, and this thing is getting updated on a monthly basis, the investor, the buyer, and the mortgage loan officer all know what's going on a 24/7 automated basis. So you clearly get an indication of where you are in the process. And finally, with that, I think it's important to understand that when you hook up with a mortgage or a loan officer, know specifically what your client needs from a credit repair standpoint, because certain things on a credit repair, certain things on the credit report may not need to be addressed. Right? If William as a loan officer says, hey, you don't have to worry about this $2,500 medical bill, you don't have to worry about this, you don't have to worry about that, then from my standpoint, I'm going to attack those things on the credit report that's going to facilitate loan approval, and not waste time or money restoring items that really don't have any effect on the loan approval.
Gotcha. Okay. Hey guys, if you have questions about loan modification, credit repair, any of those, just drop those in the comments. Give us a like if you're liking the information Kevin's given. I've been doing real estate for 22. We were just talking about that this morning, 22 years. We're talking about, I had my birthday this week, and I said, man, I'm not even going to tell everybody here how old I am. I told Kevin, but maybe he'll keep it to himself. But anyway, we were talking about that this morning. And I said, I've been doing real estate for 22 years. And, but what I'm saying is in all that time, and I'm sure there probably are some other products, but I'm not aware of them, of anything that really teaches in depth how to do loan modification stuff. So, and Kevin, as far as courses go, super low price, and he's given an even better price. Hey, Matt, thanks. I appreciate that. Super low price to everybody here for being on this morning and listening. Tell them about your loan modification course, what it'll teach them, how it'll benefit them in their real estate business, and the deal that you're going to give them today.
Okay. So it is a comprehensive course, cradle to close. So you don't have to have any mortgage background or anything like that to figure out how to do the course. It teaches you how to contact the lender, how to negotiate. There's some forms in the course that teach you how to make sure, because a lot of times what's happening is that people are getting loan modifications and then the lender will slip in some language in the new agreement that the seller, when the homeowner signs that agreement, they waive some of their consumer rights. So we have a national relationship with a couple of legal entities like LegalZoom, or what are you laughing at?
Oh, my wife is.
Oh, okay. She's poking you?
Yeah, she is.
Okay. So LegalZoom or Legal Shield. So there's legal support behind all this. So from the investor standpoint, you take this course, even though it's tailor-made for retail, but the knowledge that you gain, you can parlay that and consult your potential client. Now, keep in mind, and William knows this as well, you have to be careful in certain states. You don't have the authority in some states to negotiate directly with lenders. But it's my understanding in the space that I've been operating in for quite some time, you can use this from a consulting standpoint with the homeowner. So the homeowner ultimately will have to reach out to the lender and facilitate the loan modification process. You, from an investor standpoint, once you get the deed, you can obviously use this as a huge potential to increase cash flow, right? Because if the homeowner gets a loan modification from, let's say, $1,000 down to like $750, that's an extra $250 a month in cash flow. So what would be the incentive, you would think, for the seller to do that? Well, maybe you come up with some type of creative idea to even give them a monthly check for like $100, or you tell them after 12 months, you're going to give them $1,000 for helping you facilitate that. Or you say, hey, this is going to fast track your restoration process in terms of credit repair from the loan modification, because all those missed payments get made up once you get a new agreement with the lender. Right. So that's kind of like how you can use that from an investor standpoint.
Okay. And as far as you don't have to be licensed to do this in states across the country.
No, not if you're consulting directly with a homeowner, just like, some programs say educational purposes only, or you're consulting directly with the client, because as long as the homeowner is reaching out to the lender directly, you're not violating anything, right?
It sounds like a written agreement containing those facts would be a smart thing to have with that homeowner. Do you include that in your course?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, that's all included in the course. And once somebody gets a loan modification, you can call me back. And then as part of what's included in the course is that we'll have somebody, a licensed attorney in that prospective state, review the proposed loan modification agreement to make sure that the homeowner hasn't waived any of their consumer rights.
Right. Okay. Hey, Rudy. Rudy says this is good info. You're right.
Thanks, Rudy.
Great. Matt asks, is there a certain loan type that you see usually succeeds at loan modification or more often, or one that fails more often?
Not really. It's really dependent on the lender and servicer. Wells Fargo is kind of tough. Bank of America is kind of tough. Obviously, the smaller financial institutions like credit unions and smaller banks, who really service their loan portfolios, are a little bit easier to deal with. But I can tell you from an overall perspective that success rate with the program since I've launched it is a little bit over 80%. Which is astounding, because as you remember, William Bronchek was talking about when I interviewed him, he's like, hey man, I remember back in 2008 that, only like 5% of the loan modifications are getting approved. So it's all about qualifying the homeowner up front. Just like when you guys do a deal potentially for subject to a creative financing, If they're really motivated and the pain is there, you'll
Right.
probably be able to work out a deal. So it's incumbent upon you, if you decide to move down this road of taking this course, that you qualify the homeowner in terms of managing their expectations, right?
Right.
If you don't have a job, you don't have stable income, loan modification is not for you.
Yeah, well, that's without even using loan modification. Those were some of the questions we would ask our sellers when they would be like, no, we want to keep our home. Okay, well, I understand that. Then your job is to dig in and find out if whatever caused their situation to make them fall behind hasn't changed, if they still don't have a job, if they still can't make the payments, their chances of staying in the house without loan modification or something else aren't very good. So then at that point, you have to make them understand, well, Mr. Seller, how are you going to make your payments? You still aren't working. You know, do you think staying is a reasonable expectation at that point? For sure.
It's funny that you mentioned that too, William, because you know, I talk to a lot of people, and I'm not going to mention this guy's name, but this guy's got like over 300,000 subscribers on YouTube, and he and I were going back and forth on one of his Patreon channels, and this guy's got like millions and millions of dollars, and then he finally capitulated. I was like, you know, like, dude, why are so many people analyzing this housing market and not talking about income? That's like saying I'm going to run 2 miles and I'm not going to breathe. I mean, you have to talk about income when it comes to housing, foreclosure, loan modification. It's imperative. So it's just amazing how so many people don't factor not only that in, but as you and I were talking in the past, William, you have people who right now aren't making student loan payments. They're not making car loan payments. Obviously, they're not making rent and mortgage payments. Here in Spokane, Washington, which is about 4 hours east of me, almost a third of the residents in that city have fallen behind on their utility payments. So when all of this pause gets turned back on and these folks have to start making these payments, there's going to be a huge problem with affordability. And a lot of these people are going to get a reality shock that they can no longer stay in their home.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I know we're going to come back. We're going to circle back around to loan modification, where it's at today, and then where you expect it to be in the next 6-12 months as they have to start easing off on all these restrictions. It's going to be interesting. Troy has a question. He said, I have a buyer that filed for bankruptcy and it was dismissed voluntarily. Can that be removed from the credit report?
Voluntarily, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Even if it's legit, there's a way you can do it, but it's called factual disputing. And that's basically the techniques that we use in credit repair. I don't do the stuff where, hey, William, why don't you go to the police department and file a bogus identity theft report so we can get all the negative information off your credit report removed. Right. You know what I'm talking about because you've been around for a while. That's the shady stuff. We do everything factual disputing. Really good results. I don't have anybody that's in my credit repair program that has been in the program longer than let's say 5 months that has a score below 650.
Yeah. Well, now listen, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this is a fact because I've dealt with it in a couple of cases before. You correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin. This might be a good tip for everybody today. In a lot of cases, even if you have something totally legit on your credit report, that something you failed to pay or you were late on or whatever, the way the rules operate, if you file a dispute and they don't respond, it has to be taken off of your report. And most of the time, these people just don't respond.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. You submit this. Go ahead, William. Go ahead.
No, so your credit report can be, I mean, you can be the biggest deadbeat in town with 1,000 late pays, no pays. And if you take the time, and they make it easy now with Credit Karma, you can click a couple of buttons and file a dispute. If you don't have a Credit Karma account, it's free. Go get one. And you can go in there, dispute. And the vast majority, either they don't have time or they just don't fool around with it and they don't respond. And then 60 days later, boom, they're all gone off your credit report.
That's absolutely true. The only thing I would tweak about that is that I would strongly recommend that if you're going to do credit repair yourself and not hire someone, never dispute online. Always do it through US mail.
Okay. So that, I guess that even gives you an extra layer of, people don't like dealing with paper now. So
Exactly.
if things get lost, shuffled around or whatever. So get on your credit report. You can raise your score tremendously just by disputing things that, even if they're factual, you can dispute it and say, I didn't do this, or this isn't I mean, you make your choices, what's ethical, what's not, but
No, you're 100% correct. So if somebody had, from an investor standpoint, if you guys are working with buyers that, let's say, haven't filed bankruptcy within the last 24 months, they've got decent income, but they just have credit issues, reach out to me. I'm very confident that we can get them qualified for a mortgage, so you can cash out on that big payday on the back end, definitely within 12 months, regardless how crappy the credit report. I have someone who started with me about 5 months ago. They had a 520 and they're at about a 690 right now. So once again,
we don't want to move that fast, Kevin. We want some cash flow for a while.
It's funny that you mentioned that, William. So tell me what you think about this, because this is your area of expertise. So I know we're kind of getting off topic, but this is definitely related to real estate. Because of the pending and upcoming inflation, how do you feel about present value money? Like, if we're really looking at around 6 or 8% inflation, because the government's lying when they tell you what the real inflation rate is. Yeah. Do you really want to extend that out 3 or 4 months when inflation might be 6% per year and that's compounding?
Well, I've just got to tell you, this is the way I look at it. If you're buying low and no equity real estate, if I'm buying a $200,000 house for $190,000 and I'm marking it up to $220,000 and I'm getting a $20,000 down payment, I've only got a $10,000 spread. Okay. If they cash me out in a year, I'm going to get a year of typically $400 to $500 a month cash flow, and I'm going to get roughly a $10,000 payday on the back end. Now, if I can stretch that out another couple of years, I get another 24 months of $400 to $500 a month in cash flow, and probably another $5,000 on the back end. And I feel like that probably beats inflation, somewhat. And then there's always the chance that they won't pay, or that they'll have to leave. And we don't encourage that. We certainly really don't want it. But if you can take that house back and start all over again, you're even better off and sell the house again. So from that perspective, cash flow is what it's all about. And I get the cash today, but then again, you've got, a tax liability and some other stuff. So overall, if we're not talking about a 20-year span, we're talking about just another 12 to 24 months. Yeah. So that's what I prefer. Andrew has a question. He said, I heard or read that due to COVID, banks and creditors have shifted their employee resources to button up COVID tasks, and therefore are letting a lot of other communications, such as disputes, fall through the cracks. And therefore, those uncontested disputes are allowing borrowers to have items removed from their credit profiles. True. And I think we just really talked about that but that's always been the case, Kevin. They tend to just ignore that stuff.
Yeah, they do. I've noticed too that the process is taking a little bit longer because of COVID and so many people that are working remotely. So even when you submit a dispute, as you mentioned earlier, and by law, they have 30 days to respond, or they're supposed to, delete it. A lot of times you have to send follow-up letters. You have to keep on them. And some clients reach out and be like, well, hey, let's sue them. It's like, well, dude, you've got a $1,200 collection and they didn't respond. Right. Do you really want to hire an attorney, or you want to go through all that? Let's just use this as leverage. So you're right. Because of COVID and the remote work environment, it has slowed down the credit restoration process a little bit.
Okay. Hey guys, let's have your credit repair and your loan modification questions. Matt said, if we have a high score, for example, 808, how can we utilize that high score?
Matt said that in what regard? Like, how is he applying that in terms of?
Give us a little more information, Matt. How are you? What are you looking to use that investing somehow? Let me just say this. Your credit. This is one of the advantages of sub 2 that I've always shared with investors. don't use your credit score to get a mortgage. Buy all of your houses subject to, keep that credit score high, because he said, as an investor, keep that credit score high for other things like lines of credit, things like that can help you in your business. At one time, guys, I had over $500,000 in credit cards, okay, sitting in my drawer in my desk. You know, a $75,000 Wells Fargo credit card line of credit, $50,000 from Advanta, you know, $45,000 from Bank of America, another 35 from, I mean, I used this money to lend. Okay. If I had, especially because they bombard you with these no interest, no fee checks, borrow the money for 12 months, no fees. All right. And even if it's 1% or 2%, if I can borrow $50,000 and pay 1 point for that, and then I can lend it out and charge 5 points and 10% or 15% short term, 12 months or less, that's the kind of stuff you save your credit score for, in my opinion.
No, you're right. Was this business credit or personal credit, William?
It was a mix. It was both. Some of them, you know, they contacted me and they gave me business credit lines, but that's what I would use. That's what I would keep my credit score for. Yeah. Buy all your houses subject to, doesn't show up on your balance sheet, nothing. Okay. Yeah. And then keep that 800 credit score for those things. Get those lines of credit and use them. Don't just let them sit there.
Yeah, for you guys who are trying to get your scores up, a technique that I've used to get my score up, I call it, there's one technique called credit stacking. So once you get to a certain credit score or credit limit, and then you apply for new credit, the system automatically runs these algorithms and they determine where you should get your new credit, right? So if all of your credit starts off at, let's say, like 5,000 or 10,000, if you get approved for a new credit card, they're going to potentially or more than likely start you off at that same level. So what I do is, what I've done in the past is that, let's say you're trying to get a particular card and you want to get the credit limit raised on that card. You may put all of your bills on that card. So let's say it's $4,000 for the month, right? And then you might pay the minimum payment for maybe 1 or 2 months. And then you pay it off in full the second or third month. And then you do that again. And then when you go to request an increase for that particular card, the credit card company is going to look at your recent payment history. Like, oh my God, look at William. This guy's spending $4,000 and we made a little interest on him. And then he spent $4,000 again, and then he paid it off. So when you ask for a big increase, a lot of times that will help you increase your credit score just by using the card that way, because they do pay attention to balance and payment history when they're determining whether or not to give you an increase.
And you learn how to use these cards to your benefit. We at one time we rehabbed a good bit, and I would use my my accounts receivable account at Lowe's to buy all of the rehab material, and then in 30 days I would pay it off with American Express. And I accumulated 1 million frequent flyer miles. I mean, I went to, I went first class to Paris and just flew all over on just miles that I made, just doing stuff like that. But you learn how to juggle that stuff, and it worked. I mean, I know Dave Ramsey says, I've never seen anybody get rich on flyer miles and stuff. But listen, if you manage your business properly and you have some self-control, you know what I mean? You can use those things and make a lot of money with it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. The final point I'll make about credit is that, and you guys can chime in, or William, you can give me your opinion on this because you're the expert. I tell clients all the time is that, you access credit to either create wealth or to create debt. Mm-hmm. And there's normally one of the two, right? And your mindset has a lot to do with it, because typically when you look at the average person, they can't wait to get their credit score up to get into debt. Yeah. People that are using it for wealth are using it to leverage. As you mentioned, hey, I can get X amount of dollars as a line of credit. I'm going to loan that out and make a decent spread on that by, leveraging my credit to make more money. So I think that's important to have the right mindset about how you use credit. You should be accessing it to create wealth, not debt.
Matt had a follow-up. He said, shouldn't we build just business credit with our EIN?
Yes, there's a guy out in this, it's called Credit Suites, Tyler something, I can't remember his name, but this guy is the leading expert when it comes to business credit. And there's a certain way they want you to do it, starting off, let's say, with a Lowe's card or something like that, and then build your way up. And this guy has gotten people, you know, $50,000 or $100,000 in business credit in 6 months without using their personal credit history or any personal guarantees.
Right.
But it's expensive. But look up Credit Suite. Tyler, I can't remember his last name, but he is the guru when it comes to establishing business credit from the start.
Hey, Skylar. Skylar's got a question. I get lease option buyers that need credit repair even when I don't have a property available to place tenant buyers in yet. Are there mortgage brokers that would work with me to lend to my tenant buyers and offer free credit repair in exchange for the lead, knowing they'll get their commission at a purchase date?
Possibly. What you have to be concerned about is, like, are you really going down that hole to somebody who claims to be a jack of all trades, right? Because a lot of mortgage people claim to know credit repair, and as William and I have been talking about, I know this talk is kind of skewed more towards credit, but there's a ton of people who either claim to be credit repair experts and a lot of companies that claim to be credit repair experts, but very few people can do it effectively and consistently. So if you're going to reach out to a mortgage person for something like that, I guess that's on the table, but then I would ask some follow-up questions. How long have you done this? Do you have any referrals? Because otherwise you're probably just better off going with a traditional company that's got a good solid reputation behind it.
Well, hopefully Andrew will jump in here. He's our mortgage guy that's hanging out here. Hopefully he'll jump in there and help Skylar with that question too, if he knows of anybody that would do that. Andre had a question. Any news about the new credit scoring system that is coming out in the next several months? How will that affect credit repair?
Not that much. They made a big to-do about that earlier in the year, saying that they're going to come up with some new FICO scoring model, and that depends upon where you're at, that people who carry a balance from month to month could potentially be penalized. Your score could drop as much as 20 points or more. So I haven't heard anything in terms of any realistic time when they're going to implement this new scoring model, and if so, how it's going to impact the average credit score. So I think it's kind of fluid at this point. And it's just a lot of things that haven't been determined yet. So I don't see it from our standpoint changing much, as Williams alluded to earlier, especially if you're buying through creative financing and subject to. It makes it a moot point.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't matter what your credit is. You can buy a house, you can get the deed. Absolutely. So Kevin, tell me a little bit more about this, about the loan modifications. What do you see? I know we talked a little bit earlier before we got on today about how you're already seeing the need for loan modification increasing. And I guess a lot of people, smart people, say, I can see, that eventually they can't hold foreclosures forever. I mean, of course, the government can try to manipulate how the lenders, extend it from 360 to 480, do those types of things. But there are going to be some people that just aren't going to qualify, or just going to give up, or they just aren't going to be able to make it. So where do you see all of this moving forward, the need for loan modification and those things as we come out of COVID eventually?
I think it's going to be huge. Black Knight, which is a company that does statistics in the mortgage and real estate space, they are reporting, like, what was the number I had there? Around like 2.9. And I'm not going to slam Black Knight, but they have historically been a little conservative with some of their stats and projections on certain things. So they see about 2.9 million people that are in forbearance. There's another 1.2 million that are not, or have not reached out to their lenders. Okay, so that puts it almost at 4 million. So I think, in my personal opinion, the real number of people that are in distress / need forbearance or in forbearance is probably on the low end 5, on the high end 7 million. So when this thing finally unravels, I think loan modification is going to be here to stay for years. As you and I talked about, William, before we started the live talk, the court systems are going to be backed up. People are going to be gaming the system. Like here in the state of Washington, you can pretty much stay in a house almost 1,500 days. Hawaii's around 12 to 1,300 days. So those are years. So, and because of the affordability crisis, that further exacerbate the inventory levels, I think, to a degree, because people are going to be going down other routes to try to stay in their homes. So from an investor standpoint, if you can approach them from a heart to help perspective, that's going to allow you to really open up and get some really good intel about their finances, their mortgage, their potential exit strategy, information that 99% of the other investors probably wouldn't be able to get because they're approaching the seller with the traditional, hey, I just want to buy your house. So in summary, I think that this is something that's going to be around for a long time. As you said, I'm not advocating that somebody totally change their acquisition strategy, but learning loan modification could be a very nice tool. And as you build a considerable amount of potential deals with an effective CRM system to follow up and stay in touch with these people, you will get some deals from this, as William said, because eventually they'll figure out, hey, I have nowhere to go. I've got to leave this place. And let me call Tammy, or let me call Matt, or let me call William, because he was the guy who was trying to help me.
Right, exactly. Fred asked, what's the cost of your course? Tell them a little bit about your course, what the regular price is, what you're going to do for everybody here today.
Okay, well, that's one of the bonus things. The course is $297, but for the sub 2 people, I'm going to knock $100 off. So that's going to knock the course down to $197. I'm going to leave that open for about 48 hours. So that offer is going to expire. All you have to do is put in sub and then the number 2. So SUB number 2 when you get to the checkout counter, and that'll give you a $100 discount. I don't know if you heard about me talking about how the course is set up earlier, but it's really tailored towards retail, but the knowledge is universal. You're just applying it to your particular strategy. Your strategy, once again, from an investing standpoint, is to come up with some type of financial incentive so the seller is on board, because you're going to need the seller to provide documentation, and you have to walk them through the process. What I'm also willing to do with the $100 discount is that if you guys decide to take the course, and you get somebody that you need to consult as they move along the loan modification, you reach out to me personally, and I will spend as much time on the phone with you to help you walk that seller through the process. So we increase the chance of that loan modification getting approved. Now, that's not going to get you the house, though. Understand that. But once again, this is all about setting yourself up, because a lot of these people are not going to get approved for loan modification if they don't have stable income.
Right. And this is really about giving you an edge that a lot of other investors aren't going to have. I'm telling you, I've done this for 22 years, and most investors knock on the door or send direct mail or make a call, and that's it. And they're interested in buying the house. They don't say much about, okay, you want to keep your house, how can I assist you in doing that? And that's something that's going to make you stand out. I'm telling you, because I've been doing it for a really long time. In fact, one of the leave behinds that I use, I'll give that today as a freebie that addresses not only, yes, we are interested in buying your house, but we have other ways we can help. And I'm telling you, that one phrase in that letter makes all the difference in whether or not they'll call you. I can also help if you want to keep your house. So I'm telling you, that really piques their interest, because everything else they've got says we buy houses, we pay cash, we close in 48 hours. Nobody else says I can even help if you want to keep your house. So
I think that's a great point, because some of the marketing letters that I send out to distressed sellers trying to get them to sign up for my do-it-yourself loan modification course is that I disclose to them that I'm a real estate broker in the state of Washington, but I says, I'm a little bit different. I specialize in saving houses, not selling, which parlays into exactly what you're saying. You would be surprised how many people reach out and says, oh my God, this is so different from everybody else, right? So you get more with honey sometimes.
It's always, it's always about being unique in the marketplace. So yeah, Matt said, wasn't it only 2 million in 2008? As far as the default.
You mean how many people actually
you threw out a number you threw out a number from Black Knight, I think 2.8 million, and you said that was conservative, and Matt said, wasn't it only 2 million in 2008?
Okay, good point. Yeah, if I didn't clarify that, I'm sorry, Matt. I was regarding what they think the number is currently.
No, I think what Matt's getting at is it's going to be a lot more people now, and 2008 was horrible.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's going to be a lot better. Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Okay.
Hey, Tabitha. Yeah, I'm telling you, it really is. But you have to really go, it can't be just a ploy that you're using to trick people or to make them call you instead of somebody else. People pick up on that. They got a radar. They know if you're really there to help them. And that should be your first approach. Yeah, you want to buy the house, but if they really want to stay and they can stay, spend an hour or two with them and try to help them. It's good karma. And if you work locally, if you're in a town of 100,000 people and you're buying a couple of houses a month, people know who you are. They either respect you or they go, yeah, that's that guy that steals everybody's house. And I mean, really, it makes a difference, and referrals, which can become a really big part of your business. Or maybe they know somebody that gets into trouble down the road and they say, hey, call Tabitha. She helped me keep my house. Well, maybe their friend isn't in as good a position and can't keep it and ultimately realizes they have to sell. Who are they going to sell to? They're going to sell to Tabitha. They're not going to sell to the shark, that came in and, was only interested in themselves. So it matters.
Another interesting point too, I think, is that I think the reason why, in my humble opinion, that I think these numbers are so grossly underreported is that why did the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau come out and make all these mandates? Basically, it's just a proposal at this point, but they're basically trying to tell these lenders and servicers, you will work out some type of agreement with these homeowners, right? Or if you even have to extend the loan out to 40 years. They know this problem is much, much bigger than what the numbers that they're reporting to the general public. That's why I think, in my humble opinion, again, that's why the CFPB has come out and said what they've said. And it also is a reason why you see so many lenders and servicers showing up their mitigations departments in anticipation for this onslaught of all of these people. They're going to be distressed and have no idea what to do with their mortgage.
Right. So this is going to be a really good skill for you guys to have. And at $197, the cost of a couple of dinners out with your spouse, you're going to gain a lot of information that you're going to need, I think, moving forward. That's going to be really helpful to you. Now, this is, if I remember correctly, Kevin, this is an all digital course. It's online. You get instant access.
Correct. Yep. Okay. Yep. There's videos, there's text, there's video. Like I said, the legal support, when you get to the point where you have a loan modification, you need a licensed attorney to review that. I don't do that. I'm not a licensed attorney. My firm is not a licensed attorney, but we outsource that. That's included in the price of the course. And like you said, with your students, I'm not going to have a VA or anything like that. I'm going to personally work with them if they get a client that needs help through loan modification. Yeah. So that definitely helps a lot. And it's all about qualifying too.
Right. So the trainer that will personally help you, that is invaluable. Let me tell you, there's so many teachers out here that if you make contact with their office or you buy their product, you're pawned off to a junior whatever that may or may not can answer your question. So you work directly with the course creator that does this and understands. That's super important. Tell everybody where they would need to go to get your course.
So you can sign up at Prevent. So it's www.preventforeclosure.us. Okay. And just follow the checkout instructions. And when you get to the special code, once again, it's SUB and the number 2. Once again, we didn't spend too much time talking about this, and I'll get to the bonuses, William. I know we're getting close to the hour. Is that we also do debt negotiations. I'm very good at removing judgment liens without the investor having to pay the full amount. So what I'm able to do is, hypothetically, if there's something that's clouding the title, and let's say it's $5,000, maybe I can get the person who put that lien on that property to agree to $1,500 or $2,000. And on top of that, allow you to make the monthly payments, but at the same time, get them to release the lien so you can move forward acquiring the property. So what does that do for you? Obviously, that frees up, once again, more cash flow. Now, granted, if you have the money to pay the lump sum settlement, that's good. But once again, we're trying to preserve capital here, right? So if they're fixated on $5,000 and they don't budge, wouldn't it be beneficial for you to set that up in a payment, right? As long as that person is willing to release the judgment and all of a sudden you can move forward with the property and don't have to come out of pocket for the $5,000. So
Right.
we do debt negotiations and debt settlement in that area and collections.
Right. Okay, guys, as I told you earlier, the freebie today, I'll give you my leave behind letter that I use when we're working with pre-foreclosures, foreclosures, people in distress, the letter that makes a difference in whether or not they'll call you back. Just type foreclosure letter in the comments, and I'll make sure that you get that. And I know that Kevin has a couple of bonuses that he's going to offer people. So tell everybody about that and how they need to get them.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. You guys already got the discount for the course. Like I say, $100 off. I strongly encourage you to take advantage of that. We plugged that enough. So here's the deal. This is kind of like a guessing game. So I'm thinking of a number between 20 and 60. And you have to put in there what you think the number is. The person who comes closest to the magic number, and William knows what that number is, that person is going to get,
Don't ask me the number.
I'm going to take the top two closest number. The closest number to this magic number is going to get 90 days of free credit repair, which we normally charge $129.99 a month. If you want to do the traditional credit repair, that's $99. I'll knock $30 off. But if you get this today, it's going to be 90 days of free credit repair. The only caveat to that is that it does require the person to sign up for Identity Q, which is like a credit monitoring service of like $25, because that works with our restoration software. That's not me billing my client. That's something that we require. So that would really be the only cost. The second closest number will receive a $50 gift card from Amazon. So those are the two things that I have. To qualify, I want you guys to go to my business, my Facebook business page. It's Credit and Debt Professionals. Give me a like, holler at your boy. Right. Follow that page to qualify. And so the number is between 1 and 60. First place gets 90 days free credit repair with the understanding that they have to sign up for Identity Q every month.
That's 20 and 60, right?
What'd you say? Yeah,
20 and 60.
Yeah, between 20 and 60.
Okay.
And then the second one gets the $50 gift card from Amazon.
Okay, and you're going to come back. You're going to let this go until what time today? Say,
the sub 2 discount is good till Saturday.
Okay,
48 hours.
And the what time today are you going to come back and announce the winners of the free credit repair and the $50 gift?
Well, they should be putting the number in right now. We could do it right now.
They are, man. They're scrolling and scrolling. So,
what numbers? Or do you have the numbers now? Or is there too many for you to look at?
Yeah, we're looking at 20, 59, 25, and then of course I only see a few comments, so I don't see the rest of them. But 32, they're still coming in. So,
all right.
What we're gonna do, I'm gonna let you come back and look. We'll let this run. We've got another 4 or 5 minutes on here, and I guess at the end of that time, the replay folks are out of luck. They should have been here for the live. So we'll do this till we're off. And then once we're off, then Kevin will come in and he'll pick his 2 winners. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. How about that?
Something else on the, since we only got a couple of minutes with the debt settlement and debt negotiations, and you and I talked about this, William. One of the strategies that I use when I'm doing it for my clients, first of all, you don't pay me anything up front. My clients just have me negotiate on their behalf a power of attorney, specifically for that debt. But one of the things that's been very successful and allowing me to not only get things settled for pennies on the dollars, but getting settlements quick, is that all of my proposal letters are sent FedEx. And William and I talked about this offline, is that there's something psychologically, especially if you're dealing with an attorney or even a big firm, everybody stops what they're doing to see what this FedEx package is. Mm-hmm. So all of my negotiation tactics are done FedEx. And that has clearly allowed us to push the other stuff aside, the prospective creditor on the other end saying, this must be serious. Right. And as a side note, being in business for 15 years, I've done a lot of negotiations with attorneys. And I'm here to tell you, as a final note, if you're hiring somebody for like debt management or debt settlement or some type of judgment lien removal, a lot of times the adversary on the other end will do research on the person that's submitting that proposal. And then they find out, well, Strong Jacobs and Associates has been in business for 15 years. They've been registered with the Better Business Bureau almost 5 years. There's good Google reviews. There's a footprint of a reputation, and so far a good one with my company. And that does help us facilitate debt management and debt settlement offers when we're dealing with that with the adversary.
Okay. Larry asked, what's your Facebook page name again?
It's Credit and Debt Professionals.
Credit, we'll type that in, Credit and Debt Professionals. Okay, and if you just search that in Facebook, you should be able to find him. Fred also asked, do investors, is there some way to utilize this course, I'm guessing, to sell credit repair to buyers? Or is there some way you can, I guess, financially benefit from the knowledge in the loan modification package? Do you have like an affiliate program?
I don't, because the 60-minute credit repair course just goes over the basics. There's so much more involved in credit restoration that the content that I provide within the course is not going to address it to the point where you could actually be able to charge.
Gotcha.
And then obviously, as you know, from a credit repair standpoint, there's you have to be bonded, and there's a lot of other things that are involved in that. So be careful. If he's asking me, do I have an affiliate program? If he wants to refer someone to me, yes, we can talk about that. But if he's looking to do that himself, then he's going to have to look up whatever the requirements and licenses are for the states that he wants to operate in.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Okay, guys, I'm going to give you a plug for something we're doing. You may have heard in September, we're having our first event. Gosh, it's my first event in like 15 years. I used to do 3-day trainings down in Macon, Georgia, and I haven't done one in quite some time, but we're going to have an incredible event in New Orleans, September 9th, 10th. If you're a Sub2 Deals coaching group student, you'll get an extra day on Saturday. This is going to be some incredible training on creative finance, entity structure, how to raise private money, and just how to use social media marketing to grow your business. You can go to Sub2 Palooza, that's SUB, the number 2, palooza.com, and give us your email address. We'll keep you updated. We're going to release all the details on June the 1st to tell you about this. We're going to have some incredible speakers. It's just going to be a lot of fun down there. So you guys check it out. We're going to have limited seating. We're not going to sell a ton of tickets. It's going to be a fairly small event, but if you're tired of Zoom meetings, if you really want to sit around a table with a bunch of other people that are buying houses and share tips and tricks and strategies, it's going to be an excellent opportunity to do that in one of the most fun places in the world. So we hope you can go check it out. Rudy said your website has no place to put the Sub2 code.
Okay, I'll have to check into that. Rudy, email me Kevin at strong, STRONG, Jacob, JACOB.com. So Kevin at strongjacob.com. Just shoot me an email, say, hey, I'm not getting a code, and I'll get that fixed and honor that price. So if anybody else is experiencing that, they can email me.
He said disregard, just found it. So I think maybe he found the place. Fred had a follow-up question to, can you sell this program? He said, no, I really just want to know if I would just refer the buyers to you.
Yeah, and we can, I have a few people that are doing that if they don't want to go down that hole, because there's a lot involved in loan modification. Right. So we could talk about some type of referral system. And so you guys understand, if you do that, I have no problem signing a non-disclosure. And what I mean by that is that if it's your client and your potential deal, that's something I'm going to stay out of. My participation is going to be restricted to the loan modification. If that comes to a potential Sub2 or create a financing deal, that's yours. I'm not asking you to split anything like that or do any type of JV ventures with me. That's 100% yours. My space is only the loan modification aspect of it.
Okay, guys, so get over to Kevin's Facebook page, hit the like button on that. Go to his website, preventforeclosure.us. Take a look at the course. Contact him if you want to offer the program to potential homeowners on some type of JV deal, not for the deal necessarily, but for the course, some type of affiliate transaction, and he'll work with you guys. Yeah, Corey, I wish you guys could make it, man. Clear your schedule. It's going to be great. Yeah, you know, I've been hesitant to release the names of the speakers yet until we actually put the website out there, but man, we got some really, really well-known, super respected people in the business and some real players. That's the really cool thing about this, is that everybody will be there. That will be there are actual people buying houses and doing stuff. So you're going to come away with a lot of really good training. Kevin, thanks so much for being here today. It was really enlightening. Credit repair, loan modification, going to be big stuff in the coming months, guys. So get out there and learn something about it. Thanks so much for being here.
You're welcome. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you in the forum.
All right. Okay, guys, that's it for Goat Talk today. I appreciate all you guys for joining us. Share it. Tell your friends to join us. We want to get as big a group in here as we can. We want to give away as many freebies as we can. So again, last chance. If you want that door drop letter that I do, put foreclosure letter in the comments. I'll make sure you guys get that today. We appreciate y'all, and we'll see you next Thursday. Have a great day. Talk to some sellers, buy some houses.